Ready for a deep dive. You asked us to take a look back at Susan Wojcicki's time as CEO of YouTube, so that's what we're doing today.
And it's interesting, this isn't just going to be a highlight reel of her accomplishments. We're really digging into the articles to see how she shaped online video as we know it.
Exactly.
What's striking is how her story intertwines with YouTube's from the very beginning. I mean, even before YouTube existed.
Right, like back in 1999.
Yeah.
One article mentioned Wojcicki renting out her garage, and get this, to some guys named Paige and Bryn.
No way. The Google guys.
Yeah, as in Google Ellie, Paige, and Bryn.
Wow. It's almost like a Silicon Valley fable or something.
I know, right? This isn't just someone who stepped into an empire that was already made.
Exactly. She was there for the internet's earliest days. And what's fascinating, she was already seeing its potential even back then.
Which I think makes Google's acquisition of YouTube in 2006 even more interesting, when you think about it.
Oh, absolutely, because $1.65 billion, that was a huge GE investment, especially back then.
For sure. And a lot of people, they saw YouTube as, kind of a fad, like a passing trend.
Right.
They thought Google was going to regret it.
Oh, yeah. I remember those conversations. But Wojcicki, she saw YouTube as something different, something bigger.
And I think her experience at Google was key here, right?
Absolutely.
Because she helped build AdWords. And let's be real, AdWords is how Google makes bank. So she understood the business side.
For sure.
But she also saw how online video could completely change the game.
Yeah, and unlike some executives who are just laser focused on profit, she was always thinking about the creators. She was thinking about their needs.
Right, because without creators, there is no YouTube.
Exactly. They're the lifeblood. But it's more than just recognizing that. She actually took action.
And what's amazing is that during her decade as CEO, she implemented things like the partner program.
Huge.
Which, let's be honest, that wasn't just about letting creators make money, although that was a big part of it.
Right.
It actually changed the types of videos that were being made.
It's true. And it's almost like that partner program created this whole new career path.
It did.
People could build careers on YouTube. It wasn't just funny cat videos anymore.
Exactly.
It was serious business. And to help them out, she also started the YouTube Creator Academy.
Oh, right.
Where creators could, learn how to improve their craft, how to grow their audience, that kind of thing. So it showed that YouTube was invested in their success.
And she didn't stop there. She pushed YouTube beyond just being a place to host videos.
It's true. Under her leadership, it became this multimedia powerhouse.
YouTube Originals, YouTube Music, live streaming, these were all bold moves.
Definitely. And what's amazing is that she was often ahead of the curves. Like, she anticipated these trends. She didn't just react to them.
It takes some serious guts to do that, especially with a platform as massive as YouTube. But it paid off, wouldn't you say?
Big time.
But that kind of rapid growth, it doesn't come without its challenges.
True. That's the thing about success.
And the articles definitely don't shy away from that.
No, they don't. They highlight the really tough stuff. Misinformation, online safety, diversity. These aren't easy issues to solve.
Especially when you think about it, as YouTube's influence grew globally.
It's true. They became even bigger problems.
It's one thing to talk about content moderation in theory, but when the pandemic hit, it put those policies to the test in a major way.
Oh, absolutely. It was a whole new ballgame. Suddenly, YouTube became this lifeline for people. Information, education, connection, especially during those lockdowns. But at the same time, it also became a breeding ground for misinformation and those wild conspiracy theories.
It's like a double-edged sword, right? And that's where, in my opinion, Wojcicki's leadership really shines. The articles all talk about how YouTube had to adapt quickly.
They had to, because the old playbook wasn't working anymore.
Right. They were already using AI to flag content, but it became clear that human moderation was absolutely essential.
Definitely. It was the only way to even try to keep up with all
the chaos.
Yeah, exactly. The sheer volume of content. But it was this constant balancing act. How do you remove the harmful stuff while still upholding, free speech principles?
Which is a whole debate in itself.
Totally. And the pandemic really just threw a spotlight on how difficult that balance truly is to strike.
And it wasn't just about, taking stuff down either, right?
Yeah.
They also started, actively promoting content from what they consider to be trusted sources.
Oh, yeah. Like public health organizations.
Exactly. Which, again, that's a whole other can of worms.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's one thing to take down a video because you deem it harmful. But when you start actively promoting specific forces, It raises all these questions like, what about editorial bias?
Right.
And who gets to decide what is and isn't reliable information?
Exactly. It's tricky. But one thing the articles all pointed out is that Wojcicki, she never shied away from those tough conversations.
Never. Not one bit.
She was in front of Congress, multiple times, testifying about YouTube's content moderation policies.
Yeah. And that was huge. Because she could have easily just sent someone else to do that.
Oh, absolutely. But she chose to be the face of YouTube. And during a really turbulent time, let's be honest.
Absolutely. And speaking of turbulent times, can we talk about what happened when the war in Ukraine broke out?
Oh, man. Talk about a digital battleground, right?
It was. YouTube was right there on the front lines of this information war.
It's crazy because you had both sides, right? Both sides using the platform, trying to control the narrative.
Exactly. And that presented Wojcicki with, how do you even begin to tackle that?
Seriously.
Preventing the spread of propaganda and fake news, while also upholding this idea that everyone should have a voice.
It's such a tightrope walk, so what did they do?
Well, YouTube ended up taking down channels linked to Russian state media, which obviously caused a huge uproar.
Oh, I bet.
Because people were like, wait a minute, you're censoring them.
Yeah.
Even if it's state-sponsored media, shouldn't it be allowed on the platform?
Right. Free speech and all that.
Exactly. But then, of course, you have the other side saying, no, they're spreading propaganda. They had to do something.
It's a mess. There are no easy answers. And that, I think, is a perfect illustration of how, with Wojcicki, there was rarely a clear-cut, easy solution. She was always dealing with these competing priorities.
Totally. And it wasn't just about reacting to every crisis as it popped up. She was also thinking long-term, thinking about the future of online video.
Which, let's be real, is like trying to predict the weather sometimes.
Right. Because it's constantly evolving, new platforms are popping up, new technology. It's a lot to keep up with.
For sure. So what was she focused on?
Well, she was very interested in AI.
Artificial intelligence.
Yeah. It was already being used for things like, flagging inappropriate content, video recommendations, but she saw it going way beyond that. There's an article where she talks about how AI could totally revolutionize how we learn.
Interesting.
Imagine watching a YouTube tutorial, but it's not just a one-size-fits-all video. It actually adapts to your skill level, gives you personalized feedback.
Wow.
In real time.
Wow. That's next level.
Right. It takes the whole YouTube as an educational tool to a completely different place.
Definitely. So what else? What else was on her radar?
Oh, she was also really into augmented reality and virtual reality. AR and VR.
Yeah. Make it more immersive.
Exactly. Imagine putting on a headset and watching a 360-degree video of a concert.
Oh, wow. Like you're right there in the crowd.
Yes. Or taking a VR tour of a museum from your living room.
That's so cool. She was really trying to push the boundaries, wasn't she?
Oh, absolutely. And I think for her, it wasn't just about chasing the latest, shiny tech toy. It was about recognizing the power of human connection, which is something that YouTube is really good at.
Yeah. YouTube has this ability to connect people from all over the world. It creates these communities, these shared experiences.
And she saw that very early on. There's an article that talks about how she spearheaded this program, the YouTube Social Impact Program, to support people who are using YouTube to make a difference.
So using YouTube for good.
Exactly. Supporting nonprofits, educators, activists, anyone who's using the platform to try to make the world a better place.
I love that. It shows that her vision wasn't just about, building a successful business. It was also about something bigger.
Absolutely. But, and this is important, we have to acknowledge that it wasn't all perfect, right? No legacy is. There were criticisms leveled at her too.
And those are important to discuss. So what did the article say? What were some of the concerns?
Well, censorship was a big one. Specifically, YouTube's content moderation policies.
Right, that's a constant debate.
It is. And there were accusations that YouTube was silencing certain voices. Some argued that they were disproportionately targeting conservative viewpoints.
Ah, yes. That age-old debate about where you draw the line between free speech and what's considered harmful.
Exactly. And the thing is, with the amount of stuff that's being uploaded to YouTube every minute, you're never going to please everyone. It's just impossible.
True. Were there other criticisms?
Yeah, some of the articles touched on the mental health aspect.
Interesting.
Particularly among younger users.
Like cyberbullying.
Yes. Body image issues, the pressure to constantly present this perfect online persona, All of that.
Which, to be fair, that's not just a YouTube problem.
No, not at all. These are issues that exist across all social media platforms. And to YouTube's credit, they did take steps, like they implemented parental controls, started promoting mental health resources.
Okay, so trying to be proactive.
Right. But it's a constant battle. Like, how do you create this sense of community, encourage people to connect, but at the same time, protect the more vulnerable users? It's a tough one.
It really is. And like you said, it's not unique to YouTube. So, as we head into the final part of our deep dive, I think it's safe to say that Wojcicki's legacy is complex.
Definitely. It's full of highs and lows.
She led YouTube through a period of incredible growth.
Unprecedented.
Dealt with some crazy ethical challenges. But she also always seemed to have her eye on what's next. What's the future of online video?
Always looking ahead. And along the way, I think it's safe to say she changed the digital landscape forever.
Yeah.
But that's not all. There's more to uncover.
Right. Her story's not over.
Exactly.
You know, as we get into this last part of our deep dive, there's this phrase that keeps sticking in my mind. Digital culture icon. That's how one article describes Susan Wojcicki, and it's pretty powerful, don't you think?
It is. Because it's more than just, oh, she was a successful CEO. It's saying that she had a hand in shaping our culture globally.
Right, like how we get our information, how we have fun, how we connect with each other.
All of it. YouTube's everywhere.
And she was leading the charge for a decade of massive growth and change. It's hard to wrap your head around, honestly.
Think about it.
Yeah.
People have built entire careers on YouTube. Social movements have gained traction there. The way we learn, the way we tell stories, it's all different now.
We'd be lost without it, probably. And the articles really suggest that Wojcicki's vision, what she saw for YouTube, it was a huge part of that.
Totally. And this is where it gets really interesting. It wasn't just her vision, you know?
What do you mean?
I mean, YouTube wouldn't be what it is without the users.
Right. The creators making the videos, the people watching them.
Exactly. Without them, it's just an empty website.
No.
Wojcicki could have all the vision in the world, but...
But it takes both sides to make it work. So, which was it then? Was she this digital culture icon because she had some unique insight? Or was it more that she understood what people wanted even before they did?
Probably a bit of both. The articles talk about how she had this knack for seeing what was coming next, you know? Like, she got online video in a way that most people didn't back then.
She was ahead of the curve.
For sure. And she didn't just sit in her ivory tower either. One article mentioned how she made a point of meeting with creators regularly.
Oh.
Yeah, to get their feedback on new features, new policies, that kind of thing.
So she valued their input, even as the CEO of this massive company.
She did, which says a lot about her, I think. It shows that she knew that staying connected to the community, that was important. So it makes you wonder, right? About influence. Like, who really shapes the digital world? Is it the CEOs or is it us? The people using these platforms every day?
It's the big question, isn't it?
It is. And there's no easy answer.
Yeah.
But in Wojcicki's case, it's clear she had a huge impact on YouTube. The things she did, the stand she took, they matter.
Yeah, she pushed for innovation, she stood up for diversity and inclusion, she tackled some really, really tough issues.
And she understood that YouTube's success was tied to the people using it.
Yeah.
It wasn't one or the other, it was both.
It was a team effort.
Exactly.
Oh.
And I think that's what makes these platforms so fascinating. They're constantly evolving. You've got decisions being made at the top, and then you've got all of us using them, shaping them in our own ways.
It's a two-way street. So even though Wojcicki's moved on to other things, her influence, it's still there. It's part of YouTube's DNA, just like all the countless stories and voices that make it what it is.
Exactly. And that's what's so great about these deep dives. You know, it's not just about learning a bunch of facts. It's about asking the big questions, the ones that stick with you.
The ones that make you think.
Exactly. Like, what does influence really mean in this digital age? Who has the power to shape the online spaces we spend so much time in?
And what role do we each play in that?
Exactly. So next time you're on YouTube watching a video, maybe even uploading one of your own.
Think about that.
Yeah, think about those questions because they're at the heart of what makes the digital world so interesting.
Yeah.
So full of potential.
And you never know, your next deep dive might start with something you find on YouTube. So keep exploring, keep asking those insightful questions, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.